It is often said that the waves of the Pacific carry more than just salt and tide. They carry stories, beliefs, and ways of life that arrive quietly but take root deeply. Among these waves, one can trace the almost invisible, yet undeniably present rise of Islam in Micronesia, a region where oceanic traditions meet global faiths in a delicate, evolving harmony. Islam's presence in Micronesia may not come with the grandeur of minarets piercing skylines or the echoing call to prayer across wide metropolises. Instead, it surfaces in modest gatherings, personal commitments, and a gradually growing tapestry of faith stitched quietly across scattered islands. To many outside the region, the very idea of Islam in Micronesia might seem unfamiliar or even unexpected. Yet, the story of how this global religion found space in one of the most remote corners of the world is both compelling and instructive. Welcome to Informative Channel. Today, we're exploring a fascinating and lesser-known chapter of religious history, the rise of Islam in Micronesia. Stay with us as we uncover how Islam found its place in these Pacific islands. Micronesia, a vast and culturally diverse region in the western Pacific Ocean, is composed of thousands of small islands grouped into subregions such as the Federated States of Micronesia, FSM, Palau, the Marshall Islands, Nauru, and Kiribati. Each island and community possesses its own linguistic, historical, and spiritual fabric, shaped by centuries of voyaging, colonization, and local tradition. Historically, Christianity has been the dominant religious influence across Micronesia, owing largely to the missionary activities during the colonial era, particularly from the Spanish, Germans, Japanese, and later Americans. Christianity, in its various denominations, became so embedded in the political and cultural structure of Micronesian societies that it overshadowed many indigenous spiritual practices and discouraged the rise of alternative belief systems. Against this backdrop, Islam's emergence is not just a religious development, it is a quiet social shift that signals deeper currents of globalization, migration, and interfaith dialogue. Islam began to make its presence known in Micronesia in the late 20th century, primarily through migration and religious outreach efforts by Islamic organizations based in countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Unlike the missionary campaigns of the Christian churches, Islamic expansion in Micronesia has been relatively modest, often informal, and highly dependent on interpersonal relationships and the migration of Muslims for work, education, or marriage. Filipino Muslims, particularly from the southern region of Mindanao, have played a critical role in this process, often moving to Micronesia for employment in sectors like education, medicine, and construction. With them, they bring not only their professional skills but also their religious practices, customs, and community structures. In some cases, these migrant workers establish informal mosques, organize religious gatherings, and begin to engage with local populations in both religious and cultural exchanges. The growth of Islam in Micronesia has also been influenced by the broader patterns of globalization that affect even the most remote island societies. With the rise of internet access, satellite communication, and social media, Micronesians have increasing exposure to global cultures, ideologies, and religious traditions. For some, Islam presents a compelling alternative to the dominant Christian narrative, one that emphasizes spiritual discipline, social justice, and a comprehensive ethical code. In places like the Federated States of Micronesia and the Marshall Islands, small but growing Muslim communities have begun to form, often centered around expatriates, converts, and intermarried families. These communities remain relatively small, numbering in the dozens or low hundreds, but their impact is far more significant than raw numbers might suggest. One of the most fascinating aspects of Islam's rise in Micronesia is the way it interfaces with local culture and indigenous traditions. Rather than displacing or opposing these traditions, many Muslim Micronesians seek to harmonize their faith with their cultural identities. For example, traditional values such as respect for elders, communal living, and reverence for the environment align well with Islamic teachings, creating a sense of spiritual continuity rather than disruption. Moreover, Islamic dietary laws, dress codes, and prayer rituals offer Micronesians new ways to express personal discipline and community belonging in a rapidly changing world. In this way, Islam becomes not just a set of beliefs but a living framework that helps individuals navigate modern life while remaining rooted in their heritage. The conversion stories of individual Micronesians offer valuable insights into this dynamic process. Many converts speak of a search for meaning, a desire for spiritual structure, or a personal connection with Muslim friends or mentors that led him to explore Islam. These stories are often marked by introspection, courage, and a willingness to challenge social norms, especially in small island communities where religious identity is tightly knit into social life. For converts, embracing Islam can mean not only adopting a new faith but also renegotiating their roles within their families and communities. In some cases, this leads to tension or isolation. In others, it opens up new pathways for interfaith understanding and dialogue. The political dimension of Islam's rise in Micronesia is also worth noting. While the region is generally characterized by religious tolerance, there have been occasional instances of suspicion or misunderstanding directed toward Muslim individuals or communities, often fueled by global narratives that associate Islam with extremism or conflict. However, in most cases, these tensions are mitigated by the personal nature of Islamic practice in Micronesia, where Muslim residents are known members of the community and are seen primarily through the lens of their local relationships rather than abstract ideologies. Governments in the region have generally taken a neutral stance, allowing religious freedom while also monitoring for potential foreign influence that could disrupt local harmony. Education has emerged as a key area where Islam is making an impact. In some islands, Muslim teachers, particularly from Southeast Asia, have introduced not only academic knowledge but also cultural and ethical perspectives grounded in Islam. This educational influence extends to both formal school settings and informal community teaching, where topics such as modesty, respect, and family values are discussed through an Islamic lens. Over time, these interactions contribute to a subtle yet meaningful shift in local perspectives, especially among youth who are increasingly open to diverse worldviews. Economically, the presence of Muslim professionals and businesses has contributed to local development in various sectors. From small-scale halal food services to healthcare clinics run by Muslim doctors, the economic integration of Muslim individuals into Micronesian societies enhances their visibility and fosters mutual interdependence. These economic roles often serve as a bridge for cultural exchange, where local residents learn about Islam through day-to-day interactions rather than formal religious instruction. As this trend continues, Islamic organizations from outside Micronesia have taken a growing interest in supporting these communities. Some provide religious materials, funding for mosque construction, or scholarships for Micronesians to study in Islamic universities abroad. While these initiatives are often well-intentioned, they also raise important questions about the localization of Islam in Micronesia. How can this global faith be authentically expressed in a Micronesian context without being overly shaped by foreign agendas? The answer to this lies in the emerging leadership of local Muslim figures, Micronesians who understand their cultural heritage deeply and can articulate an Islamic identity that is both rooted and globally connected.